Now this is a hot take, but I think people who participate in game jams must have some kind of masochistic streak. Now, having participated twice, I suppose I'm now lumped into this category. And this video is about how I and 3.5 of my friends made a game together in 7 days.
So overwhelmed in that moment with all the bugs though. I was just like hands in the head.
We met up before the start of Brackeys game jam and discussed things we wanted to improve on and do differently this time.
Let's start in a higher gear.
Yeah.
To give ourselves a bit more time to take breaks.
Push harder earlier, then there's probably the space for the breaks. Hey, like we had a full birthday party, man.
True.
We just don't have the luxury to spend on too many novel things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now the most important takeaway that we decided on was to have smaller scope. Here are our other takeaways in case you wanted to pause and read. Now, living on the east side of Australia, the start of Brackeys game jam for us was 10 p.m. and the theme that was chosen was Nothing Can Go Wrong. We spent some time that night ideating together, and we determined that the theme could be interpreted in 2 ways. The first way would be a game where you have minimal or no consequences to your actions, where I guess you could think of like a cozy game. The alternative is a restricted, no mistakes can be made kind of game. Given the timing, we decided we would go to bed, meet up the next day, come with our individual ideas, and then lock one in from there. So on Monday, we locked in an idea. The idea we decided on was an RPG explorer kind of game. And the premise is that you're an adventurer who has met their demise while trying to defeat a wave of monsters in a dungeon. As a result, you're now a ghost. You have a new way of interacting with the world. And death is, it's an ongoing issue, but it's no longer a detrimental option. The gameplay in our game is for the player to obtain orbs to become stronger, repossess your body, and defeat the waves of monsters that initially caused your defeat. Orbs can be obtained through completing puzzles, which can be done through the ghost's possession mechanic. Now, because of the setting that we had chosen for our game, as well as the limited time frame that we had, we decided we would buy a bunch of our assets instead of creating them from scratch. Now, that didn't mean that there was nothing to create from scratch. There were still some things that required an artistic lens. For example, our playable ghost character. I also, during this time, designed the draft map for Sing Sing to reference and pull together in Godot. I bought a sprite in order to design and develop the ghost. I watched one tutorial by Adam C. Eunice and off I went. Making pixel art, surprisingly, was quite refreshing. More forgiving and a bit easier than I thought it would be. Saturday is definitely the start of crunch time. Less than 48 hours to go. Today is the last full proper day of the game jam and the last day that we, I think, are able to make some decently significant changes. My sleeping schedule has been out of whack. I'm waking up 2 hours later than usual, and I'm also obviously sleeping like 2 to 3 hours later than usual. Because we've bought assets this time around, I think what I would do in the game jam was significantly changed in a way. Yeah, having a good time, I think, overall, all things considered. And today, sound, small effects. The game is looking pretty good. I think if we had to submit what we had right now, yes, it's not complete, but like, I think the essence of the game works. I think. Now, we recruited Sean for a hot minute to help us with the designing of our puzzles. He presented 4 puzzle ideas to us, and we ended up tweaking and implementing 3 out of those 4 ideas into our game. On Saturday, I got my to-do list together for all of the sound effects that I needed to make and churned those out. I also discovered loops in GarageBand, and honestly, am I like a music producer now? Day 7. Honestly, one word, chaos. Good chaos, I guess. We get our first test ready, I want to say like 4 hours before the deadline. We pulled in some friends to help test the game. They had very little idea what our gameplay mechanic was.
When we released the game, right? And then like there was Nathan and Sean and Oli all at once, all in the voice chat at once playing. And I sat down and I was trying to start fixing the code, like the bugs that we had, but I couldn't focus. Like there was just so much going on. Like I'm looking at the bug list and the bug list keeps growing, and then people reporting bugs on the Discord and the screenshots keep appearing on the right on my screen.
This doesn't work, that doesn't work. What do I do here? Am I meant to do this? Is that meant to happen?
I was just like, I felt so overwhelmed in that moment with all the bugs though. I was just like hands in head. Like, I couldn't think. That happens every time. Last time when we released it for the first time, that happened too. It's just like for a moment, like it's just like, it's so much. The list feels so insurmountable.
Jacob and Justin really pulled through all those hard yards, fixing all of those core bugs. During this time, I also got the game's page together, the thumbnail, the game description, and the game's page theme. We posted the game in time, we submitted it in time, thank goodness. And thankfully, the jam had a 48-hour grace period where you could re-upload your game to fix bugs and to port it onto other platforms. We definitely use that. Rating games. Now, I think the most important part for any game maker is to have people to play your game and to give feedback. With the frenzy of development now over, let's talk about the fun part of game jams, in my opinion, which is playing other people's games and getting them to play your game. In a game jam this large, there really is quite an art in getting noticed in the sea of submissions. While yes, in a game jam, the primary objective is to create a game against a theme in a limited time, to me, the development of the game almost kind of feels secondary to the playing, the ranking, and the commenting during the rating period of a game jam. I played quite a few games at the start of the rating period, and my efforts unfortunately really did hit a roadblock when our internet died. That is a story for another time, but anyways, there are some really polished games in this game jam, and I kind of would expect that in a game jam this large with this amount of people. It's wild to think that these games were made in 7 days, and some of them even with a team of 1.
First question is, what did I enjoy? I enjoyed the game that we made more, I think. It's probably more in line with my interests. What I would do differently is next time I don't want to make a 2D top-down game, because I think we've done 2 of those and I don't want it to become a pattern.
I enjoyed making the map more part of the gameplay as opposed to just a map which holds games like our previous one. Like making the maze was fun and trying to think of how the maze fits into the actual mechanics of the game, so that was fun. What I would do differently next time, maybe something more experimental, a different sort of level would need to be made, so that might be fun to learn.
So I think one thing I liked in particular about the game is that I really like the puzzles. I think that like when we all kind of sat down and started thinking about our own puzzles, it enabled people to be creative in ways that our previous game did not. I just thought they were like really creative ideas, and it was really fun to see to like help make them and to see them come to light. And I think that like the user experience when they see those puzzles kind of trigger is like, oh wow, that's so cool. And I think if they were able to feel that, then it means that we kind of did our job in terms of getting you guys to feel what we wanted you guys to feel. What I would do differently is I think that we kind of arrived at our final concept like quite late into the game jam. So our final, like the creative idea was a wave-based system with puzzles intermixed, but we only arrived at that around like 5 days in. I think that if we like sat down and fleshed out the idea more properly, then we could have all had that shared vision from the start rather than kind of building it as we went. Like sometimes it takes time to like marinate, to let the ideas marinate and stuff, but overall I think that's one thing we could do differently. Yeah.
Let's talk results. So for this game jam, there were 2,193 entries. We received 24 total ratings, and overall we ranked 290th. If you round down, that's like almost top 10%, and I reckon that's pretty good.
Nice.
But the real call outs for this game jam was the ranking for gameplay and for innovation. That's like real top 10% kind of ranking. Now, I reckon the game we made for this game jam, for Brackeys game jam, has significant improvements from our first game jam in terms of the game that we made as well as the experience. And yeah, these are the results from our very first game jam. Granted, it was from 52 entries, so take that into account.
and honestly keen to see how we improve on our teamwork and ability to develop games over time.
You can try out the game in the link down in the description below. Give it a try, let me know what you think, and subscribe if you want to see more about my creative journey and the other projects that I get up to. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!
Why don't we just make a game without time constraints?
And we keep the scope small, but the theme of the game is small scope.
Hey,
Right.
I like the game. It's a game jam theme, but there's no jam, and this we'll only do 5 mini games instead of 6.
That sounds good.